Hi everyone, welcome back to Work It Out with Rafara. In today's video, we're going to go through this checklist that I've designed for you, a supplier checklist and comparison worksheet for your hair business. So if you're looking for wholesale suppliers and you just need to sort of make sure that you're being thorough in your checklist and looking for the right things and asking the right questions, then I think this checklist will be helpful for you. It also has different categories that guide you in terms of what you need to be looking for when you're looking for a hair supplier. Without further ado, let's get into our video. This supply checklist is relatively easy to use if you ask me. It has 8 columns, which gives you room for you to compare 8 different suppliers based off this criteria that's on the left-hand side. Just for the sake of this video, I only made this section, that is the first column, editable, but by the time that you download it, you'll be able to add information for the other suppliers as well. You can put your supplier name here. So we've got different types of hair: Brazilian, Peruvian, Mongolian, Indian, Vietnamese, Cambodian, Malaysian, Chinese, European. And essentially what I did here was just to sort of list the most popular type of hair. Of course, there are more other hair trends that are coming into play. So you can always specify what you're looking for here if there's any other type of hair. So I'm just going to quickly check box here, very simple to use, and this is essentially how you're going to be using it. And then in terms of hair combination, we've got different types of hair combination. For this video, I'm not going to go into detail to give you the differences and clarify why these hair types are different, because we've done it extensively in the other videos, so you can go and watch those ones. For hair combinations, you've got 100% virgin or raw, if your supplier provides that, 100% Remy hair, okay, non-Remy mixed, but it's still 100% human hair, of course, 100% human hair plus the synthetic combination, or your supplier is selling 100% human hair plus an animal hair combination. So yes, this is a thing, horse hair and stuff like that. This is a thing. And then you've got 100% human hair plus synthetic hair plus animal hair. I'm sure there are many other combinations that you can consider that I may not be aware of as well, but these ones are essentially what you typically get up front. And if you're looking to just focus on 100% human hair, then of course the top, these 3, your Remy's and your non-Remy's, essentially becomes what you're looking for in a supplier. Then in terms of hair texture predominantly is either straight, curly or wavy. And then in terms of color, is it natural? That means it's never been processed, no chemicals, no dye. If it's dyed, that means you're looking at colored hair, your blondes, your ombre, red. If you've got a specific color or a specific criteria that you want to include here, then you can always, it's here. You can type it in and check that in. We've spoken about hair grades quite a lot, particularly in the very first video that we did. And when it comes to hair grades, the best is always 9, 10A. Of course, the minimum standard is 8A, but if you're looking for higher grades of hair, this is essentially where you're playing at. There are some suppliers that claim to provide 11A and above, but we've spoken about this in detail to say the hair industry is not regulated. So there is no governing body that is there to help you to validate that this hair is 3A, 5A, 7A, 20A, or whatever. Then in terms of hair density, we've got single drawn hair, double drawn hair, and super double drawn hair. We've spoken about this. And then when it comes to other quality checks that you can consider when it comes to hair, durability and lifetime, hair that usually lasts more than 18 months, that is 1.5 years, is considered to be good hair. Minimal, no shedding, no tangling, little to no smell. So if you're looking for 100% high quality human hair, in my opinion, this section should really where your non-negotiables are. So you use this to test if the sample of hair that you've been sent by your supplier or the batch of hair that you've been sent by your supplier is of good quality or not. All right. So your heat test, bleaching, strand bend test, fillers, checking out for fillers and strands and other stuff that people use to just make hair look fuller or longer. Hair that is natural does not shine like plastic. And then an excellent color consistency. Of course, if it's natural hair, it should have that consistency. And any other criteria that you think you'd like to specify, you can add here, and then you check that. Then in terms of hair extension categories, so you've got bundles, your single weft, double weft, loose bulk hair, and of course the weight itself between 95 and 100 grams, and that is usually the standard. You can decide what works for you and what you're looking for. And then if you want lace frontals, there are different types of lace frontals, ear to ear, 13x6, 13x4, 360, and then if anything else that you're looking for, another criteria, once again, you can add here. Lace closures, you've got 2x6, 4x4, 5x5, and so on, because this is a square, right? And you can specify any other criteria that you want for your lace closures and whether the supplier provides that or not. And then for your lace base, we've got your HD lace, which is very popular right now. You've got your transparent lace and your silk lace. So you decide based off what you're looking for. Then in terms of hair extension categories, some wigs are glueless, we've got half lace and so on, 2x6, 360, lace closure wigs, lace front wigs, bob wigs, full lace wigs, V-part wigs. I mean, there's a lot going on. So you can also use this as a criteria for your business. Then other different types of extensions, you've got clip-ins, you've got halos, tape-ins, micro-links. For the micro-links, you've got different types. You've got your feather loop crochets, and then you've got your pre-looped micro-links. And then you've got your drawstring ponytails, you've got your U-tips, also known as nail tips, keratin hot fusion. You also have your I-tips, also known as sticks, your cold fusion. Then you've got an option to add another type of hair extension category right here. And then in terms of supplier reputation, what you need to consider would be industry experience. So how long have they been in the game? Okay. So less than 5 years, 6 to 10 years, 11 to 19 years, and 20 plus years. We've spoken a lot about experience to say that the longer that a business has been in industry, there is a higher chance that they are providing you with the best in service, the best in experience, the best in everything, because they've been in the game for longer. And then other criteria that you can consider would be, are they a direct manufacturer? If you looked at the other video that we did, when we're talking about using 1688 or Alibaba, all these different type of platforms, not everyone that is listed on that platform is a actual manufacturer. Some people are resellers, distributors, agents. They're just third party, go in between people, and they buying from people who are not necessarily the manufacturer also means that there's a possibility that they are also sourcing the hair from many other suppliers. So in terms of hair quality and consistency, that will probably be a problem. And then of course pricing, because they're the middleman, they're going to put in their markup. So the pricing will be much higher as opposed to buying directly from the manufacturer. So then you also look at reviews, okay? And look at certifications, if any, look at their return and refund policy. And also look at references and any past or existing clients for that matter. So depending on the business, you can always email them and say, can you give me references? I just want to know which other companies that are probably well known who are using you as well. If they don't have an NDA or they are comfortable sharing that information, they can share that with you. But really all the other stuff is good enough, in my opinion, to be able to help you to make a decision, particularly if the business has reviews that you can verify on your own. Another section that we need to take a look at is ethical sourcing. So right now the hair industry is not regulated, but it's always important to make sure that you're staying on the right side of history so that the day that it does get regulated, you're not found wanting with legal issues and all of that stuff. Or right now people are just got some sort of outrage culture. It's the smallest things can make people really, really upset. And you don't want your business to be associated with that. So it's always good to make sure that your business has the right ethical standards, and you also work with suppliers that have the same values as you do. So in terms of ethical sourcing, now we're looking at, for example, hair sourcing origin. So most hair is sourced from these specific countries, whilst there are many others. There are also other European countries that we don't put there. Also other African countries that we don't put there, but these are predominantly the most popular. So it's Singapore, China, India, Burma, Pakistan, Vietnam, Italy, Peru, Germany, and Indonesia. And this is in no particular order, so don't come for me. And you can add another hair origin here. So you can decide to say, I only want hair from India, temple hair, single donor hair, high quality original hair. Or I want hair from Vietnam, or I'm just looking for hair with origin is from China. So you can use this as your criteria in terms of what you're looking for. Another consideration under ethical sourcing would be their ethical practices. How are they as a business? How do they look after their employees? If you go on Alibaba or 16888, particularly on Alibaba or Made in China, you'll find that most of these businesses will tell you, oh, we've got 500 people in our factory, and this is our certificate for treating them nicely, and so on, whatever that is. So you can look at that as well if you want to take it to that level. And then, of course, transparency in sourcing practices. How exactly are they getting their hair? Is it a shady type of supplier? Or they're really being honest to say, hey, this is where we get our hair. For example, we've got Laga hair in India. They specifically say this is temple hair. So you know you're definitely getting hair that's from the temple there. There are no two ways about it. So that's always a good thing to keep in mind. Another consideration is supply chain and logistics, but let's looking at supplier location. So your supplier would either be local, meaning that they're within your country, or they can be international. Those are your two options. And why this is important is because it then affects other things such as your lead times. So if your supplier is far away from you, it also determines how long it will take for them to ship products to you, right? It also affects in terms of shipping costs. You put in your own criteria here, your own range based on your own budget as a business. That's why I didn't put any financial ranges here. So you sit down, look at your budget and say, this is how much I can afford in terms of my budget when it comes to shipping costs, because I want to be able to sell this product to my clients at this price. Because all these things will add up, which can either drive up your prices simply because you're not managing this part here, which is your shipping cost. Another thing is that if your supplier is international, then you've got to consider your custom and import fees. Are they low, high, medium, or they're not applicable simply because the supplier, this particular supplier, is domestic? And then you've got other consideration here. So you've got tracking and order transparency. If you order a product from them or you order your patch, can you track your orders? Can you see at every single stage to say, okay, fine, now it's in London. Okay, now it's on the sea, now it's on the train, now it's this day sorting, now it's at customs. Do you have that visibility? That's always important, because that also then is able to tell you to say, can I trust the supplier? And if there are delays in your orders, you know well in advance, and you can manage your clients and so on. And then, of course, flexible shipping options. What shipping options do they have? Do they tell you only ship by sea? If it's by sea, then you know they're going to take more than 6 weeks to have that delivered to you. And what is their shipping policy? Do they also provide drop shipping? If you want to consider that for your business as well, you can always indicate that. And then another consideration is pricing and payment terms. Is this supplier competitively priced? So obviously for this one, it's after having done a comparison of all the other different suppliers that you're putting on your worksheet here. Then you can say, okay, fine, for a bundle of 9A Brazilian hair, I'm getting it at $15 from this supplier. However, from the next supplier, I'm getting it at $30. From the next supplier, I'm getting it at $9. So you can then make a decision to say, okay, what is the average pricing in the market? And then you can do your own comparison from there. Affordable MOQs, the better, because if you work with a supplier that requires you to purchase a minimum of 100 pieces, as a small business, you may not be able to sustain that. And then bulk order discounts, are there discounts when you order in bulk? And then repeat purchase discounts. If I'm a repeat customer, do I get discounts over time? Is there a loyalty program that I can benefit from? Or are there any other hidden or additional fees? So this now requires you to do additional homework and ask the right questions to say, if there's anything else that you're going to be charging me for that is outside of what we've already agreed on. In terms of payment terms, Businesses have different payment terms. Does the supplier allow you to put in a deposit and then pay the difference when the order arrives? Or is it full payment upfront? Or do you pay upon delivery because you now have a good relationship? Or do they have flexible split payments so you can pay for your order over a period of 3 to 6 months, for example? If you've got any other payment terms that we did not include here, you can always add that here. And then when it comes to payment options, there are many different types of payment options. So does the supplier want cash, right? Or do they support credit cards, PayPal, MoneyGram, Western Union? The reason why these things are important is because there are costs associated with each and every payment option. And you need to be very much aware in terms of what the transfer fees are, what are the transaction fees, so that you can be able to manage the costs for your business. And also some of these options are not flexible to use. For example, WeChat. If you've ever tried to open a WeChat account, you know it is not easy, right? It is not easy. So if your supplier only wants WeChat, then you may need to pay them through a third party or an agent so that the payment can go through. And you also have an option to put in a different type of payment option there. And then in terms of customer support, this goes without saying. Responsiveness, how responsive are they? Availability 24/7, weekdays, how do they work? What are the language barriers that can prevent you from being able to communicate effectively with your supplier? And then problem resolution, how effective are they? Some suppliers have WhatsApp, email, WeChat as ways to communicate with them, and you can use those and take full advantage of that. But what's also very important is that the same level of customer support that you expect from your supplier is what you also need to be able to deliver to your customers. Hashtag just saying. In terms of testing and sampling, this is important because it's not all suppliers that provide samples, because there is a cost to it, right? They're taking something out of their warehouse, you're footing the bill for shipping, sending it to you with no guarantee that you are going to buy. So it's always good to find out what their testing and sampling process or policy looks like. Do they provide free samples? Do they only provide paid samples? And when you order samples, how is the consistency? And then in terms of their testing policies, you can just sort of see to say, okay, fine, I want this here, but I want to order a small batch first just so that I can see. And it's not necessarily a sample order where it's 3 bundles of hair. It could be a small batch with 20 pieces of hair. But maybe, let's say, for example, their minimum ordering quantity is 100 and they've got an agreement in place and they can agree to that as well. Okay. Other considerations that you can also put in there, branding and customization. Do they allow for private labeling, custom OEM and ODM? This is essentially them allowing you to be able to tell them, you know what, I want a hair that is a fusion of this and that. This length, great, this and that. And then they customize hair bundles or wigs according to your specific requirements. And it's not just private labeling where what you see is what you get and all you're doing is putting your nice label on it. So you can ask those questions. Some websites always have that information readily available to say, do they support that or not? Other considerations would be, can I plug the supplier onto my Amazon store? Is there a plugin for my Shopify store or WooCommerce or any other considerations that you believe are not covered in the supplier checklist? Then you can go ahead and add that criteria, that additional consideration here. And yeah, you can download this checklist from the link in the video description below. Please subscribe to this channel if you like this type of content. Do like, comment, and share this video with anyone that you believe might actually benefit from it. And yeah, I guess that's it. We'll see you on the next one. Bye.